We're talking about being solution oriented, right? And I'm telling you, this will take you so far in life. Like some folks watching this right now are at $50,000 a year. And immediately when they start shifting how they think, they won't immediately go to $1 million a year, but they immediately change the direction. Mm-hmm. Here's the key. Your destiny doesn't change overnight, but your direction towards your destiny can change overnight. Yeah. And that's what I love about being solution oriented, because all of a sudden you start to attract different things. You start to attract different people around you, because most folks who are going somewhere don't want to hang out with folks who focus on problems all the time.
That's true. That's very true.
If you're a go-getter, faith-driven, and family-focused, and need to break through to your next level, this is the podcast for you. Your self-talk can reshape every area of your life. It's time to dream and think big. Welcome to the Self-Talk Experience with Darnell and Tracy Self. It's time to elevate, baby. Let's get into the show.
What's up, Self-Talk Experience family?
Hey, we're back.
We are back with the Self-Talk. Remember, the things we say to ourselves about ourselves eventually determines what we attract and even who we attract for ourselves. You excited about today's episode?
I'm very excited.
This one is a big one because really everything we say to ourselves are big deals, because it really shapes us. And so one of the things we want to talk about today is something that it's easy to fall into this trap. And hopefully we can help you out in your personal life, your professional life, on how to avoid this, or if you're in this trap, how to get out of it. And that is being solution oriented. This is a big one.
It is.
I just posted something, you remember, maybe a week ago, and it said, be careful hanging around negative people. Be careful hanging around negative people, because they'll find a problem for every solution you have. And it's funny because someone actually commented and said, hey, well, without a problem, there is no solution. Like, why do you even need to find a solution without a problem? And I commented back, you're absolutely right. But the key is not to focus on the problem. And that's what many of us do unintentionally.
Well, that's kind of what they were doing.
That's
right.
No, you're right. You're right.
To even respond like that was dwelling on the problem.
That's exactly right. We know their problems. All of us have problems. Like, you can't live this thing called life without problems. The key is, are they weighty? Are they heavy? Do they drain us? Do we feel like, man, I got another day, got to wake up, go to work. I got this issue. I got this bill. I've got this relationship problem.
Well, you made me think about something. When I was doing my morning meditation this morning, it started out saying, if our time here is temporary, why do we make our problems permanent? Wow. You made me think about that when you were talking about how problems can weigh on us.
Yeah, and it's so true. And, the key to becoming, listen to this language, becoming solution-oriented is to give yourself that grace to become, because it doesn't happen overnight.
That's key, because a lot of times we say something and we think it's going to happen right away.
Right.
And it doesn't, and we don't give ourselves a chance to catch up.
That's right. That's right. And you've helped me out with that, because I've said to you, because not only are we married, but we have this friendship. Mm-hmm. And so I've said to you, hey, I would prefer if you responded this way. And then I'm like, well, you didn't respond that way. You're like, well, you just told me yesterday. Can you give me some time to become that person?
Right. Give me some time to think and stop and say, oh no, I'm doing it. Okay. I don't want to do that.
Right.
But it takes time to get to that point.
Yeah, because you're developing a habit. You're developing a muscle. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't develop overnight. And so this is key for us, right? I'll just give you an example. So the other day, I was going to get something done with my car. Mm-hmm. And it were two things that I had to get done, but one had to happen before the other one could happen. And so you remember I called you and I said, hey, time is going to be tight because I have to get both these things done up in Baltimore, which is a little north of us, then come back towards our house and then get my hair cut. And what'd you say?
I said, that's a lot. I don't know if you're going to be able to get all that done. But for you, it was coming from a negative, not trying to be solution-oriented place. But for me, it was coming from a place of, my husband is doing way too much. He has too much on his shoulders. maybe not do all that today because you run yourself so much. And I worry about you and your health and all these things are in my mind, but that's not what was conveyed to you. What was conveyed to you was, well, that's negative. Why can't I get all this done? But I wasn't thinking that way. So it gets to that discussion where you say, is it right or wrong? Because in my eyes, what I was saying was right because I was being protective and being caring and being like, wait, we can't do that. That was my immediate reaction. Like, you can't do that. And you took it like, well, that's pretty negative. Let's try to be solution oriented. Maybe you can help me solve it. But I wasn't thinking along those lines.
Right. And this is good. Hopefully this is helpful for folks, right? Because we all deal with this, whether we admit it or not, we deal with it, whether it's our own self-talk or someone else's self-talk that's causing us to think, well, that's negative, that's wrong. And wrong sometimes is just different. And this is the self-talk I want us to gain here because I'm so solution oriented. It's hard for me to have a problem and just stay there in the problem. Like I'm immediately working on, okay, so it's not if it's going to happen, it's how it's going to happen. So to be solution oriented, one thing we have to do is immediately think about resourcefulness. That's in people and those are in things. What things can I change? What people can I contact to help me to change the things? Let me help you. So here we are with those two things I had to get done. So I was like, all right, babe, I got to go. And so I immediately started contacting other centers, auto centers, to see if they could do it faster than where I was at the time where they told me it's going to be 2 hours. That's being resourcefulness. I'll be being resourceful. So immediately, solution-oriented person is like, okay, how can we figure this out? If for whatever reason that wasn't happening fast enough, I could use people who can help me to contact some of these auto centers to see if I can get this done in enough time.
But that right there was a chance for communication and growth because you had to see past me seemingly to you being negative and saying, let me think past that and say, okay, babe, come on, let's not be negative. I need you to be the person to help me make these calls. And then I would have said, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I can do that.
Right.
But I wasn't thinking that way.
Yeah.
So it's all a part of the growth of communication too.
Yeah.
Because my thinking isn't like yours.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's not fair for you to make it mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of you don't agree.
No, I agree. And this is why this is such a critical conversation for so many people who are in business relationships, personal relationships, because we are different in that regard, right? So I quickly, because of my personality print, want to get things done. So what I did was I went back into the auto shop where they told me it was going to take 2 hours and say, hey, look, is there any way you can get this done faster? And he was like, tell me what you need again. I told him. He's like, actually, we can do that right now. I said, like, how long? And he said, it'll take like 15 minutes. Perfect. So then I called the second appointment and said, look, if I'm there in 15 minutes, how long would it take you to get A, B, and C done? They were like, we can do it in 40 minutes. I'm like, perfect. So I add that time up together. And then the time that was going to take me to get back to get my hair cut, I got there early. And
you resisted calling me back saying, well, look what I got done. Even I know you're probably thinking it.
So the key is so funny. So the key is, how long do we stay in a place where we're like, well, this is not going to get done. This is, I can't see. And we at some point, we got to get to the place where it's not about if it's going to happen, it's about how it's going to happen. And then immediately we switch to how, we start to think about the solution. Like even recording this episode, if I told you all the things that happened prior to recording this episode, it would have pointed to, well, this is not going to get done today. But instead of saying, never mind, we're just not going to have the episode, it's like, no. So what do we need to do for this episode to get done? Right. Let's move this. Let's do this. And we were supposed to record a few today. Well, let's record one. We record the others later on. Right. So the key is never if, it's how. When you say how, then all of a sudden you start to be creative and you start to think, because your self-talk is going to happen. Would it be a shorter episode? Right? What adjustments do we have to make? Who do we need to call in order for it to happen? People and things.
And what a great affirmation. It's never if, it's just how.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that's what we teach our kids.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so this has to happen, right? So this is going to get done, right? Now, listen, granted, there's some things, and let's just say this, there's some things that are out of our control.
Right.
I don't care how positive you are, how much self-talk you have. I'm 6'1". I'm not going to be 6'5". Like, so I can do all the self-talk. I am a tall man. I do look, I'm trying to change my posture now, right? I will be 4 inches tall. Look, that's a lot of self-talk, but I don't know if you're going to be this stretch. Maybe if you invert yourself at night for a long time, maybe you'll grow 4 inches. I just don't think. However, there are some things that we can change. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so our kids have found that out because they were like, okay, so how is this going to happen? I'll tell you one more story.
Okay.
You don't mind?
Yeah.
And how much time we have to now? Okay, 10 minutes. All right, good. This is how you know we're getting comfortable with the self-talk experience. We just talk to, the person behind the camera who helps us all out. Look, check this out. I remember we were on our way to the airport and your dad was driving us. You remember that? It's been a couple of times. He got a speeding ticket on the way. Sorry, Pop, I had to call you out. He got a speeding ticket.
That was years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. So it caused us to be a little late to the airport. And if you know us, we don't really get to the airport that early anyway.
We were pressing it anyway.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm sure it wasn't all his fault. We could have left earlier. But we don't like sitting around the airport for a long time. So we get there like right on time. So we get there at the ticket counter. So Pop drops us off. We get to the ticket counter, y'all. Check this out. And they say, I'm sorry, there's no way you're going to make this flight. And again, I'm so solution oriented. I can't take no as a final answer. Maybe 3 or 4 no's, but sometimes, and you do this really well, maybe I'm not speaking to the right person. I can't tell you how many things you've gotten accomplished because you just hung up, called back, got a different person, and got the very thing you wanted.
Absolutely.
So she says, you're not going to make this flight. I'm like, no, we still have time. We can make the flight. Sir, we're not going to make the flight. I said, why don't we have time to make the flight? In a nice way. I wasn't like rude. I said, why? And she's like, well, because you got to check bags and your bag's not going to make it on the flight in enough time. I said, so the only reason we're not going to make the flight is because we have to check bags? And she's like, yes, that's the only reason. Other than the bags, we would make the flight. Yes, you could make the flight if you didn't have bags. So I looked at you and I said, you remember this? I said, call your dad. Tell him come get the bags. We'll buy everything when we get there. The lady was so mad that I was solution oriented. I thought it was cool. I thought it was great to say. I guess it sounded arrogant, but it wasn't. I'm like, we had to be there. I think we were signing a contract for a future event. So I was like, we got to be there. So this is the day. So my point is not if, it's just how we're going to do it. Now, again, this is the reason why money matters. People are like, money doesn't matter. Money matters. It can help you to make different decisions when you're not thinking about the money, right? So for all the people that say money doesn't matter, it's because you don't have any. Because when you have some, then it doesn't matter anymore because you're able to make decisions. Why are you laughing, Janelle? I'm just saying, it's real, right? The people try to make people feel guilty when they have money, like, oh, it's all about the money. No, it's not. It's not about the money once you have money, because as long as you didn't do it for the money, you did it for all the people that you could bless, because now that you have money, you don't have to think about the money as much. You get to wake up thinking about who can I help? Who can I bless? What lives can I change? Because you're not waking up to pay your bills anymore. That's where I want you guys. Self-talk. I'm telling you, baby, it's another place. So we said, tell your dad, come get the bag. Oh, man, she was red. She was mad, but we got on the flight.
We did. We made our flight. And I just love how you're always solution-oriented. Even if it didn't work, you always take the shot.
Yeah.
You always take the shot.
Because it doesn't always work.
Yeah. Yep. But now what I do is always see if my dad can take us to the airport. Don't worry if you're running late, Dad.
Yeah,
we'll just buy it when we get there.
Yeah, whatever. So listen, one more thing, and we're talking about being solution oriented, right? And I'm telling you, this will take you so far in life. Like some folks watching this right now are at $50,000 a year, and immediately when they start shifting how they think, they won't immediately go to $1 million a year, but they immediately change the direction. Mm-hmm. Here's the key: your destiny doesn't change overnight, but your direction towards your destiny can change overnight. Yeah. And that's what I love about being solution oriented, because all of a sudden you start to attract different things. You start to attract different people around you, because most folks who are going somewhere don't want to hang out with folks who focus on problems all the time.
That's true. That's very true.
Right? Like I don't like that. I like it. How do I say this in a nice way? It's hard for me to be around people who always focus on the problem. And I just don't say, hey, you know what? You're a complainer. You're a whiner. I can't be around you. I just don't. I'm just not around them. Did I say that in a nice way?
Kinda.
Okay. Anyway, it was honest.
It was honest.
Family.
It was transparent.
There you go. All right. So look, check this out. As we close on this solution-oriented, focused episode, because I want people to start to think to themselves, how can this happen? Not if it's going to happen. Not, I don't know if I can afford to make it to this particular conference. No, how am I going to be able to afford to make it to this conference? All right, so I need $800 to make it to this conference where I'm going to learn from these coaches or mentors. All right, so now how am I going to get to 800? See the difference? Like, I can't make it, because then it's focused on the problem. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. Well, let's do something different so you can stop saying I don't have the money, I don't have the time. Like, by saying I don't have the money, I don't have the time, you're growing the problem. Because whatever we focus on, we grow.
Right.
And whatever we focus on, our mind finds evidence to confirm. Like, I'll never have money. Everything that happens from this point, you'll say, see, I told you.
Well, we just have to get into the practice of positive self-talk.
Yeah.
And like you said, once you create that habit, it comes naturally.
Yeah.
And it's easy not to go back the other way.
Yeah.
But it's a process.
Yeah.
And you have to give people a chance to go through that process.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah. I got to get better at that. Giving people some grace at becoming.
You do.
I'm working on it.
You are.
I'm working on it.
Yes.
So, because it took me some time to become solution oriented. So, but I want everybody there, because I'm telling you, it allows you to live life at a different place. You know what I mean? When I say a different place, I mean a different level of energy and a different level of peace.
And a different level of posture and confidence.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And it's not that those folks have less problems. It's how they respond to the problems that are different. A lot of people are like, it's easy for you, don't have problems. No, I have a whole lot of problems. But the way I respond to them, it looks like we don't have those problems. And I'm not saying this about me, because I'm sure that people are way better than me at focusing on solutions. So, but we're all growing. Next time you see me, I'm going to be at another level. You're like, dude, you have no problems. I'm like, man, I got more problems. I just handle them even better now. So remember, guys, self-talk, the things we're saying to ourselves, even about the problems that we have, is how we respond to them. Sometimes we can't control the problems, because life will throw problems. But how we respond to them and how we look for resources, people, and things to help us to shift how we overcome those problems, that we can control. And I look forward to seeing you guys at your next level of problem solving, being solution oriented. This has been another self-talk.
It's a great one.
Yeah. Remember, the things we say to ourselves about ourselves eventually determine what and even who we attract for ourselves. See you guys at the top.
Thank you for listening to the Self-Talk Podcast with Darnell and Tracy Self. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. And we'll see you next time. And remember, talk good to yourself.